Hi, Golden Demons. This is Dr. Graves, and this is our virtual back to school night. And like so many other things this upcoming year, things are going to be different, aren't they? So I just want to take this opportunity to introduce myself to you and to talk a little bit about how our online classes are going to work this semester. So let's see, a little about me. Yes, I really am a doctor. I'm a doctor of music. And yes, I'm teaching science. So how does that work? Well, in my undergraduate at University of Colorado in Boulder, I double majored in music and chemistry. And at that time, I decided to pursue a career in music, and I earned a master's degree and doctorate degree in music performance at the University of Texas at Austin. And my first job was teaching college music at a university outside of Atlanta. My wife and I decided to move to Colorado, and that's when I got hired on at Golden High School. That was 16 years ago. And when I started at Golden, I was the instrumental music director. And I did that for about 7 years, and the last couple of years of it I started teaching some science part-time. It was kind of interesting how things can be kind of cyclical in your life and things can come back at some point. And then I switched over to full-time science. That was about 9 years ago now. I've been teaching science full-time since then. So I'm really looking forward to working with you this year in chemistry or physics online. So I want to take this opportunity to talk about a couple strategies to help you during this period of online learning, remote learning. And one of the things that I've done is set up a space for my own teaching. And so this room here was my music practice room, our music practice room. And I'm dual purposing it now and set up a workspace here where I can be doing all my teaching from and be a little bit quiet, away from the family, away from the dogs when I don't want them here. A view to the outside was really important to me to get some light in. Another choice was down in the basement where we have an office set up, and I didn't want to be down in the dark. And so we set up this space. And so I'd really encourage you, if at all possible, to try to set up a learning space that probably is not in your bedroom, that can be somewhere where you can consistently work and have it be quiet. Now, I know many of you are going to have a sibling or two or three at home also doing remote learning, and houses can be crowded and busy and active. So do your best. Do your best to find a workspace that you can set up to work in consistently so that you're also not moving your materials around and losing something and realizing, oh gee, I needed that calculator, I needed that book, something like that. Try to keep all your stuff together. And then it's going to be really important to get up and move. Take breaks often, because you're going to be scheduled through classes online, but don't just sit there that whole time. Remember, even in live school, right? We'd have passing periods. We'd get up, we'd move, we'd walk a little bit. So make yourself do that. Get outside as much as you can. Take those brain breaks. Try to make it be as physical as you can. Even if you just stand up for 5 minutes and do some stretches, anything like that is going to help you keep focused during the course of the day. So this is Hank, and this is Winnie, and they're one of my strategies to help get through this remote teaching thing. They're great to, in between classes, do a little pet with them, little animal therapy. At the end of the day, take a nice walk with the dog. So if you have a pet, take advantage of that also. So let's take a look specifically at physics for this semester. Physics is often called the base science. It's a study of how everything operates, from large, like the universe, to small, like subatomic particles, and everything in between. So clearly, that is a whole lot more than what we can study in 1 year. And you can see down here the curriculum. This is for the whole year. And really, the first semester, what we will cover will be kinematics, which is motion in one dimension, dynamics, which is motion in two dimensions, and we look at forces, and then conservation of momentum. And that's really our first semester of study. This is a rigorous course. It does use a lot of math, and sometimes that scares students who don't feel like their math skills are as strong, or maybe they don't like math, but really, it's not difficult math often. Usually it's just algebra based. And what I've found for myself and for my students is that often the second time you see a math topic, it starts clicking because you might be coming at it a different way. And here it's all about applied math. It's seeing a phenomena and then using math to describe it. And so when we apply the math that way, a lot of times that helps students make connections more with how the math is working. We'll use some trigonometry, not too much. We don't expect that you've taken trig yet. And so we'll introduce a few little topics that way as we go along. Our course this year will be managed through Schoology. I know a lot of your other classes will be using Google Classroom, but all of the science classes use Schoology. Everything will be in there, all the daily activities and assignments, all the documents, videos, assessments. There's also a mobile app for Schoology, which is kind of neat. If you want to download it, put it on your phone, and then when due dates are coming up or reminders, things like that, it'll pop a notice up on your phone. That can be helpful a lot of times. Physics tends to be very hands-on and lab intensive, well, not so much when we are doing this remotely together. So we're going to come up with different strategies to handle that in the remote setting. It might be watching videos of other people doing labs. We've got lots of simulations that we can use. So unfortunately, you won't be able to collect data so much, but you will be then analyzing that data, and we'll show you ways that it was collected. So it'll be similar to doing the lab in person, not quite the same, but you'll get the majority of the important parts of it by analyzing the data and seeing how it's done. We use a cooperative team planning model in physics. What that means is that Mr. D'Onofrio, who's the other physics teacher, he and I will be working really closely together and trying to coordinate what's happening in the hybrid with the plan with the kids who are in school and the fully remote. And what it might mean is that you might see some videos that he's produced. You might see some videos that I've produced. We're going to be sharing resources that way. We'll be using virtual textbook. Most of the readings and materials will be right there in Schoology that we provide for you. However, if you do want to get a hard copy of a book, we can make arrangements to check out a book because you're going to be spending a lot of screen time. And if you want another resource that you can hold in your hands and kind of look at the pages and flip the pages, we can make that happen. So students, come to class, be prepared, do the assignments, do the work, do your best work always. Be respectful to yourself, to your colleagues, to me, and use the resources that are there in Schoology. Be a problem solver, try to figure things out, but I'm always available. Ask for help and we'll get you through everything. Parents, here's how you can support your student. Ask about how class is going. Just keep in touch with your kids. What have you been studying? How is class going? Parents, you also have access to all the materials in Schoology. You can use your Jeffco Connect login, log into Schoology, and you can see everything. You can also just look over your kid's shoulder, have them log into Schoology and say, show me your class, show me what you're doing, show me what your grade looks like. Parents also allow students to be responsible for their own work, right? This is an upper level science class. We're mostly juniors and seniors. We're trying to get kids ready for the real world outside of high school. Let's try to let the kids be responsible for their own work as much as they can. And if that doesn't work, then you and I get involved and try to help that student get back on track. But let's give them the opportunity first to try to take care of their own work. Let's keep lines of communication open this semester. I think this year in particular, it's going to be really important. And we'll have different methods of communication, but for now, probably the best way to contact me is by email, and there's my email address right there. So I am really looking forward to the semester, to meeting all the students, and we will do our best as we all kind of figure out this fully remote learning thing. So talk to you soon.